Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hey folks, I'm Mike. This is Inkdependence. Let's talk about Life. Paper. You might be familiar with Life as a paper brand and like Cap and Note and their pistachio notebooks and things like that. This one is made of bank paper. It's a little bit of a special beast. And this pad particularly comes to us from Lisa Vanness at Vanness Pens. Thanks very much for giving me this for review. She gave me this in DC and I managed to mess the cover up a little bit. This is just a cardstock cover and I threw it in my backpack and threw some other stuff in there and it got wrinkled. It's now got a wrinkly crease in there, but it didn't harm the paper at all, just the cover. So good job, cover. That's literally what you're there for. Bank paper is made in Japan at the Mitsubishi factory, and it's made for use in banks, thus the name. The story goes that the Japanese banks wanted a paper that would be useful for all kinds of writing instruments and it would work all the time, and so bank paper was developed. It's for pencils and ballpoints and roller balls and gel pens and fountain pens and all the things that Japan uses that is starting to filter into our neck of the woods, and they have a better paper and writing culture than we do. It's just the way it goes. They got cooler stuff, so we're starting to get some of it, and that's awesome. This bank paper stuff I started hearing about a year ago, and people were going nuts for it, but it was kind of hard to get. Like there were only a couple of notebooks using it. It wasn't really imported. It was a big pain, and I'm like, I'll wait. If it comes to the US, cool, I'll check it out. Well, it has. You can get these in red covers and white covers. They are not super widely available online. You can find them, of course, at Vanness Pens, link in the description. You can also find them at Jet Pens, but I think Vanness is giving you a better deal right now, frankly. This is $15 for an A5 100-sheet pad at Vanness, and it's $19.50 at Jet Pens. So it's a better deal, at least right now, at Vanness. So check it out there. I'm hoping that more Life bank paper comes to all formats of things, because I want more of this stuff. That's your quick review. Get it. All right. So, made in Japan, cardstock cover, light cardboard backing piece. Not the stiffest thing. It's a little bit on the bendy side. So if you're a person who wants to hold it in one hand and write on it all the time, like maybe this isn't exactly the pad for you. But whatever. If you're putting it on a desk, who cares? So you open up this cardstock cover, which has done its job in protecting the pad of paper, and you get this interesting like pink pad of paper. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And I open it up. I'm like, well, it's white on the inside. So the deal with this is that this is blotting paper, and everybody should be putting blotting paper in the front of these glue-bound pads. Like, just frankly, this stuff is super useful, because if you have a pad of paper everything's not drying immediately, or like you write a page or something, you just jot a note, you want to just close it up, that blotting paper will, as you see here, like blot up your excess, and you won't have a bunch of smears or anything. It's great. It's great. Put this on everything. I have left this in here. It is a top glue-bound pad, and they didn't glue the cover to the top, which I think is very nice. You could fold it over the back. I don't like to do that. I just fold it this way. But you can see there's some room here, because I've been tearing out the sheets underneath it. I haven't torn out this blotting paper page, and I kind of want to see how long I can do that for, frankly. That's my fun game I'm playing with myself. This paper is 84.9 GSM, I learn online, and it's white. It's not super, I guess we should call it ivory. It's not like ultra white. Like, this is some white copy paper. This is my wheat straw paper that I use in my desk, and this is a little bit more ivory, but it's a very pleasing ivory. It's not like yellow or anything. It just looks, you can tell the difference between a white paper next to it. So there you go. All right. So I just immediately started using it with like all kinds of different things, like things I had in my bag and such. So I've got Copper Noir here. I've got this orange, which I'm not actually sure which orange this is. I never wrote it down. It's probably Diamine Orange. In fact, I think that's what I used. Sailor Suboku, Skull and Roses, Cool Gray from Three Oysters, Tarnished Nickel from Birmingham Pen Company. You've seen that recently. Communication Breakdown, Burned Orange, Golden Gazette, Colorverse Cat, like all kinds of stuff. And I started making notes about plants that I was going to put in the ground. I got some plants from my aunt, and she was giving me notes, and so I was like, well, I gotta make some notes. So I used this paper, and it was very nice. It feels so good. So actually, I don't think I got any Solomon Seal from her. She needs to get some more of that. And so that's still in there. Actually, I almost just tore this page out. It's getting It's coming out, but that's okay. It can come out. On this next page, I went ahead and just used a bunch of different pens and things. So up here is that Sailor Suboku, which I've been playing with recently. This is Birmingham Pen Co. Relative Cadmium. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. There we go. Good. And Relative Cadmium is an ink that I'm a little bit torn on. In this pen, it's a little bit light, and it just is this nib's a little bit on the dry side. So I put it in a really wet nib in this Faber-Castell Ondoro. I know, orange ink and an orange pen. I don't usually do that. In fact, 2 orange pens, but I kind of did this time. I don't know why. And in this pen, it tends to bleed through things because it's very wet and it's a fine nib, and so it tends to just go through stuff. But on bank paper, no problems at all, as you can see on the back of this sheet. Yeah, nothing. No spreading, no feathering. It's very nice. This is my favorite experience with this ink, actually, is on this paper. Robert Oster Viola is a sort of a complicated purple. We'll see a review for that soon. Pen BBS 235 is a reddish brown shimmer ink, and you can see some of the shimmer like in here. I didn't get a whole lot of shimmer actually out of that nib. I think it's just been sitting for a while, so the shimmer is settled, and I didn't shake it or roll it up. So anyway, just comes out very nice. That's with a music nib. Diamine Communication Breakdown is a super sheener. Obviously, this is a Germany only ink. And you can see, there you go, sheen in both the words and on this like just drop. I wanted to see how this paper would just handle me just dropping ink on it and leaving it, and whether it would show the sheen, because some papers do eat sheen, and you don't want that, at least not for use with fountain pens. So I wanted to see how it would do, and yeah, it did just fine, no problem at all. And in fact, I just sort of like squiggled it around and let it run just to move around a little bit. I put a Sharpie on here. This is just your regular old like just like full-on Sharpie. It's not those Sharpie pens. They're like, we don't bleed through. This is the Sharpie permanent marker that's like, we bleed through things. So I want to try that out. I threw a couple of pencils on there, B&HB pencils. These are Franklin Christoph pencils. I used the Pilot Address pen, which is like it's kind of like a Sharpie, honestly. Like, it's a very thick ink that tends to bleed through stuff if it's not heavy cardstock, and it worked really nicely here. You can see... let's see if we can look closely enough. You can probably see like in the downstrokes, like in the middle of the D, like it gets a little light in the middle because it has this ball and it's got this thick ink, so the ink goes around the ball. And you can sort of see that on this paper. Dried very nicely. Ballpoint, that's a Schneider Slider XB. I've got that in my Baron Fig Squire here. Then next, the Papermate Liquid Flare, which is this one. This is a direct ink porous point pen. So these just kind of, this ink just comes out of here, man. And that worked wonderfully. Also, I got to say, sometimes with these liquid flares and stuff, you won't have a great experience if this paper has a lot of texture. This paper has just, like, you can feel the paper. Like, you can feel it's not absolutely just glass smooth or anything, but I tell you what, it's a great feel for a writing experience. I use this Stabilo, which is kind of a fiber tip marker, like almost a brush pen sort of situation. Then I actually used a brush pen, one of these guys, a Sailor Shikiori brush pen that a friend of mine brought back from Japan for me. It's great. I also use the Sakura Jelly Roll on here, which is a very thick gel pen, and then the Inkjoy gel as well for just for comparison. And on the back of this page, nothing came through, even the Sharpie. You're just seeing the Sharpie through the paper. There's ghosting because you can see through the paper a little bit. It's not the thickest thing. It's 84.9 GSM, which is a little bit thicker than my regular Rhodia, but it's not super thick or anything like that. But yeah, even this like just big blob of ink that sat here for a long time didn't bleed through. You could definitely use the back of this page. Even the Sharpie. I'm really impressed with the Sharpie performance because Sharpie just goes through stuff. Didn't come through this at all. Like, that's just, you have to trust me maybe, but that's not bleed. That's just being able to see it through the page. All right, let's look at it next to some other notebooks, like paper-wise, paper color-wise. I have my stack of notebooks here now. So there we go. This is Life Cap'n Note. Right there, which has got, I don't know, it's a little bit browner, I think, as an ivory. We've got here Tomoe River. This is from Galen Leather Company. Losing a stack of notebooks. Like here, which is whiter than either of the other two. I've got here, shoot, what even is this? Did I make a note about what this is? I didn't. Good job. Oh, this is Apica. This is an Apica notebook. Man, sometimes notebooks don't have any English writing on them. I get lost. So there's Apica, which is sort of like it's got a little bit of a grayish tinge to it. It's not totally white. It's a little bit on the gray side. Here I've got a logical notebook, which is white-ish. Here I've got a Fabriano notebook, which I think is pretty white in this case. We've got Nocco here. And, lots of rulings on this. This bank paper is blank, so it might be a little bit harder to tell. In fact, let's kind of start over here. There we go. All right, so this is a bright white paper. You can definitely tell the ivory next to it. This here is a Midori cotton. This is MD cotton paper, which is the same kind of ivory, I think, as the bank paper. We've got here, let's see, that's Tomoe River. This is another Tomoe River paper, which is white right there. We've got some Clairefontaine here, which is a nice bright white. Again, you can tell sort of the differences in these paper colors when you put them next to each other. But if you're not next to each other, you're like, I don't know, it's all pretty white to me. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of different papers there for you to compare it to. So not super bright white or anything like that, but it is a very pleasing ivory color to write on. It does seem to make lots of colors pop. They all seem to be working very well on there. It does shading and sheen very nicely. It works with pencil and gel points and all those other, all the things work really well on this paper. It's just kind of a delightful pad. So if you'd like to try out some of this bank paper, I'd say go to Vanness Pens and grab yourself some of this bank paper while it's in stock. I don't know, like I said, I really hope this comes to more formats. Like I want a planner with this paper. If I just get a planner with this bank paper, that would be really cool. But get yourself a pad of this paper, enjoy it, write on it with whatever you want. It's great stuff. And I will see y'all later. Thanks again to Lisa for giving me this for review. And that's it. Peace out.